Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Week 8 Tuesday edition of Pickwatch Live. I'm John Halpin. That's Ryan Fowler coming with me. We are here to get an early look at the Week 8 lines. But first, Giants-Falcons, Ryan. Pat Shurmur, lightning rod for going for two. He doesn't have to talk about how inept his offense is because all he's talking about is two-point conversions.
Yeah, I think that was a filibuster in his post-game press conference. All he had to do was talk about that, and then it kind of distracts from everything else, right? It's just one big well, we're over here. No, we're over here. Let's talk about the two-point conversions. And Odell's fine. He's having a great time. He doesn't like to drink water. Eli looks great, prime of his career. What a mess that is.
Yeah, it's a tremendous mess. They've got a home game this week, and Eli is going to get brutally booed by the fans. Hopefully, after the bye, their rookie quarterback Kyle Elliott is ready because I don't want Eli to put up with this anymore either. I know his numbers were good last night. Missed open receivers. Should have hit Beckham at the goal line. He was open. He didn't throw it. The two-point conversion. It was a little bit of a bad pass. I mean, I don't know if Beckham should have caught it, but it was a little behind him. It could have been thrown better.
Yeah, and you could say that on a lot of Eli's passes last night. And the one thing that I know was talked about on Twitter, and whoever watches this program, this live feed, I'm sure you saw on Twitter last night, for a quarterback to bark at his receivers and ones that have been there a while, Ingram and Shepard, that just shows the level of frustration Eli's having with the season when he's barking at his receivers. You don't see that out of like most quarterbacks around the league. You see Aaron Rodgers with a side eye or a mumble under his breath, and Brady the same type of thing. But I mean, Eli lost it. I mean, he snapped on which routes these guys were supposed to run. Ingram's been out like the last 3 weeks. He drags his body out there, and he gets chewed out by Eli Manning in the twilight of his career.
Yeah.
Everything's off the rails.
It was rough. By the way, the 2 was the correct move. So,
yes.
And it's not – you don't need a lab coat and advanced calculus to figure this out, folks. It's not that complicated.
Yeah, and I think – go ahead.
I was going to say, okay, in the small sample of last night's game, they missed the first one, but they made the second one.
Right, exactly.
So it actually did work the way it was drawn up. Right. The idea is that if you make the first one, you almost guarantee a win. Mm-hmm. If you miss the first one, you have the chance for the second one. So you have basically less of a chance of losing in regulation than you do of losing in overtime by going for 2 the first time.
And look how many kickers are missing extra points this year. Not that Rosas has done that, but it is a problem. So the odds that you're going to make your kick isn't as automatic as it was before they pushed it back.
Right. And if anybody wants it, I tweet. There are a bunch of good explanations. Jonathan Bales from Predictive Football has a good one that I tweeted out last night. I'm at jhalpin37 if you want to take a look at the math. Like I said, it's not a nerdy, geeky, the stat geeks own football now. It's like, oh, doing it this way gives me a better chance to win. Cool. That's great. I mean, you might lose. It might blow up in your face, but generally it gives you a better chance to win the game. Yeah. All right, enough of that one. Julio, no touchdowns again. I don't know if he's ever going to score a touchdown. He's going to get 2,000 yards and no touchdowns. It's really insane. Eli struggled like we talked about, and that's not getting any better. All right, let's get to the lines. This week, I was 8-6 straight up, 6-7 against the spread. I'm 51-52 for the season. The Giants bailed me out. I had the Giants getting 5.5. So that backdoor cover, Ryan, bailed me out.
Love it.
You 11-3 straight up, 9-4 against the spread. You're 54-47 against the spread for the season, killing me. By the way, just crushing me right now. So congrats.
It's not that so many. The gap is like this. You can make those games up.
I know.
I've melted down the last 2 weeks. I had a bounce back week, and I wish I don't know. The Browns would have stayed behind by 14. I could have gotten to 10.
You know what? I would complain about the way a couple of the games shook out, but then I got that Giants gift.
Yeah, right.
So I really have no business complaining.
Yeah, because that's not educated. It's just thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
I can't complain that Kevin White didn't take that Hail Mary into the end zone.
Right. Exactly.
All right. As far as the rest of the people on Pickwatch, let's take a quick look. Screen share.
We need sound effects, Alvin. Like the radio ops have.
Screen share. Here we are. Ben Volen from the Boston Globe still beating everybody. Even though he had a week, he was 7-7 against the spread, but he's still 4 games ahead or 3.5 games ahead of Vic Tafer from The Athletic. Let's see. Gary Gramling, quarterback here.
He did take the Patriots, though. Remember last week when we talked, you were really on the Bears, and I was like, let's see what Ben goes with if he's really feeling this is an upset. And when I saw and I think at the time, wasn't the spread 5? Or was it always that low?
No, it was 3 at one point.
3, right.
Maybe 3.5.
Right. So I thought that was pretty interesting that he went with the Pats on the road in what I would agree would have been a interesting trap type situation.
Yep. So he is 64-38. Vic Tafur 60-41. Among us, you are, let's see, you are in 11th place. Let me take a look at this. Yeah, you're in 11th place at 54-47. Josh Katzowitz is in 17th place. He was 10-3 against spread, so he's 52-50. I am struggling now at 21st. That was way up there a couple of weeks ago, 51-52, but we're going to bounce back on that one. As far as straight up, Brandon George of the Dallas Morning News, 12-1 against the spread in week 7. That's a huge week. Let me see who he lost with. There he is. The only one he lost was the Bills. Yikes. He had everybody else. And he got the push on Bucks Browns. So some people won that, some people lost. The spread moved a little bit. But he was 12-1 against the spread. As far as straight up goes, for the season, the guys at Team Rankings and Christian D'Andrea at SB Nation are both 72-33 straight up. I'm 11th in the standings. You are 48th. Josh is 36th. So you're doing way better against the spread. I'm the other way around. As far as the fans go, we've got straight up. We've got Jamon 24 and Bang 1 leading at 73-32 straight up. Social Seniors 1 maintaining a lead against the spread 16-42. That's pretty strong. That would be up in the experts 1 too. That'd be right with Vic Tafur in second place. So nice job everybody there. We've got more than 1,350 people making picks every week on Pickwatch. Yeah, pretty cool. So again, NFLPickwatch.com all week long to keep track of people's picks. The bulk of them come in late Thursday, early Friday. If you're watching those, because we do a show, Josh and I do Thursday morning, and we usually only have 12 or 13 of the experts in by then. You're going to want to watch late Thursday, early Friday for all the picks. Josh and I, again, we're doing 7 a.m. Eastern if you want to watch live on Thursday morning. You're not watching this live. We had a little issues connecting to Facebook and YouTube. We're going to try to resolve that. So you're watching this pre-recorded. Ryan and I are recording this a little after 9 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday morning. And finally, Josh has his weekly preview column that usually goes up late Wednesday, early Thursday. His 3 games of the week, which are the fun game of the week, the Bet Your Life Savings game, and the game that scares him. Last week, I told him the Bears were the Bet My Life Savings pick. So he yelled. It's funny. He was looking at me like he basically said, "What are you talking about?" Because I was telling him how much I love the Bears, and they're a great pick, and I was all over them. And he's looking at me like I was speaking another language. Like I could have been speaking, Swahili or Greek, and it would have been the same thing. He's going, I don't even know what you're saying. This makes no sense. It's like another language.
You were all over it. You were a big fan of that game.
It was that damn block punt that screwed everything up.
Oh, right. Yeah, this is true. Again, this is what I talked about last week with the Bills. They get these helpful turnovers when they pull these upsets off.
Yep.
But it shakes out.
It shakes out. So Bears, thanks for nothing. Khalil Mack's injury probably hurt. Okay. Let's go to week 8. Bye weeks, Falcons, Cowboys, Chargers, Titans. Amari Cooper gets a chance. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Actually, what did you think? Amari Cooper trade. What did you think of that?
I mean, for the Cowboys, it can't hurt. I mean, they're still dazed and confused, and that's why I picked the Skins this past week. I think they're kind of just in a quagmire of meh. I mean, it's just like, oh, it's the Cowboys. You're not America's team anymore. You go out there, you compete, and when you win, it feels like you're America's team, but your team is just this. And that's not going to win you in the NFC. So making the move for Cooper is an aggressive move. But, I mean, the guy's been kind of up and down the last few years in Oakland. And I thought Derek Carr and him had a good rapport. Now he's got to build a rapport with Dak. That's going to take Lord knows how many games. And I don't think it's a game changer for Dallas. And they gave up a lot. I mean, if you like first-round draft picks. Right.
Remember, they got to pay Cooper $13.9 million next year.
Yeah, so, money's money, though. It's just like, they don't really care.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to this week. So Thursday night, Dolphins, Texans. Texans favored by 7.5, over under 44. Deshaun Watson presumably not riding any more buses. This is a home game. I don't think he rode the bus home from Jacksonville, did he? They said no more bus rides for him. See, he hadn't heard that. He had a punctured lung and he was riding the bus because they were afraid of him flying. But then they went out and had him face the Jacksonville defense, which is kind of scary.
And they fared fine. This is what I like. Come on. I know it's more Bortles issues than anything and just the Jacksonville offense. But I thought with Watson stitched together with packing tape that it was just not going to be in the cards for them to do what they did in Jacksonville. and it worked out. I mean, Lamar Miller had one of his best games in years, but wow, Deshaun Watson's dragging his body out there. If you can't get on a plane because of a lung issue, should you really be playing?
I agree, but I guess they thought they needed him. They won 4 in a row. I don't know. Yeah. So injury-wise, for the Texans, Kiki QT is out for Week 8 with a hamstring, it sounds like. On the other side, Miami's down a couple of receivers. Kenny Stills hurt his groin, probably out this week. Albert Wilson hurt his hip, probably out for the season. So they are hurting.
Nasty.
I mean, you're going to see Jakeem Grant playing, maybe Devontae Parker, who Adam Gase hates Devontae Parker. And he said, and they asked about whether he's going to play. And he goes, well, we have no other receivers, so I guess so.
They will not be exchanging Christmas cards.
No, they absolutely will not. So, all right. So this game, I don't know. I always want to say, I mean, the Dolphins are 4-3. How bad are they? I know it's a mirage 4-3, but are they that terrible?
Yeah, and I guess the only variables that have changed is we have Brock Osweiler in there, and the Dolphins literally have no receivers. Their defense seems to be getting worse, not better. Stafford kind of picked that apart. And, I mean, man, the Lions, I know their offense is starting to get a little bit more balanced, which is opening up passing lanes for Stafford. But to do what they did in Miami, coming off the bye, and to have Kerryon Johnson, I mean, that's kind of what you're going to get out of the Texans, where you have Hopkins, and you have some nice receivers along with what Lamar Miller did. So the Dolphins are going to kind of see what they saw last week, and they're regressing the wrong direction. The problem is the 7.5. That's a lot of points on a short week to just, I mean, lay down. I think the Dolphins can stay within 7.5 unless Brock Osweiler completely melts down and Kenyon Drake, Frank Gore just are completely inefficient. I think that you can cover 7.5 here.
Yeah, I don't know. The Texans defense is playing pretty well.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing. That's getting better.
And it's the Osweiler revenge game with the Texans.
Yes.
So
look, he gets that anytime he leaves Miami, right?
Right. All right, next up, Eagles-Jags in London. So it's an early game. Eagles are favored by 3.5. Bortles expected to return to his starting role after getting yanked on Sunday. What do you make of that situation?
He's been awful. I mean, you have to remember when Bortles was really clicking, and I know last year was kind of within a bubble. I mean, he really misses Allen Robinson. He really misses having some options at receiver, and he just hasn't looked great. And I think, again, the whole plan going into the season was lean on Leonard Fournette, control the clock on offense, and let the defense really break. And then they haven't had that. They haven't had Leonard Fournette for most of the season, so you can't really rely on that. And then you have to lean on Bortles more. The defense, although not horrific, they're not the Ravens, right? So it's one of those things where there's little hints of weakness in the Jacksonville defense that has forced Jacksonville to lean more on their offense, which isn't a good thing because Blake Bortles, when he needs to be a leader there, it's just never going to be in the cards. I think he needs to have Leonard Fournette there, and he needs the Jaguars defense to be what the Ravens have been this year, and that's not happened through this point in the season. Yeah,
the Jags, their defense wasn't bad against the Texans. You know, Bortles gave up a couple of short fields. So their defense probably gave up, 10 points. Watson didn't light him up. I think he threw for 140 yards or something.
Right, yeah. It was Lamar Miller.
Yeah, the Jags
are going to – the thing. Like, the rush defense isn't great. So that's a problem.
I mean, it should be better. Did Campbell play?
I don't know off the top of my head. I apologize.
Hold on. Let me look this up.
I
know he was banged up, and I can't remember. Hold on.
I got you.
Yeah. No, I think he's good. He was out. He played. So, they're going to run Yeldon and Carlos Hyde at them this week, by the way. Carlos Hyde should be integrated into the game. They talked about the idea that, Bortles is back in, and now we have 2 hammer running backs. We got a hammer back here. Like, throw the ball, guys. It's 2018, but whatever. I don't know about this one. I tend to think that, I don't know, they're both due for bounce backs, though. You know, I always look for the bounce backs possibility where the recency bias makes you want to count out a team.
Sure.
That's pretty good.
Sure.
But now the Eagles have reason to rebound.
That was a meltdown game.
Terrible loss to the Panthers.
Yeah.
So I don't know about this one. I'm leaning Jags, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm leaning Eagles just because I have no faith in Bortles. And if Cody Kessler comes in there and tears it up, all power to them. And
tears it up.
Yeah. He was better than Bortles. He was better than Bortles.
Cody Kessler tearing it up with 5-yard checkdowns. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. He's shredding it down. He's Mr. Checkdown. They're gonna give him the new nickname. But again, I really think that the Eagles, I don't think they have anything to fear here. They can run the ball. Smallwoods look good in small sample size. I think they can make this work. Neutral field.
Yeah, sure.
And again, Bortles is going to shoot himself in the foot. I guarantee that. Bortles is going to give a reason for the Eagles to win and cover that game.
All right.
I'm interested to see where the spread moves, if it does move or it stays 3.5 because of the neutral field.
All right, Browns Steelers at Pittsburgh. Steelers favored by 8. Over-under's 51. This was so these guys tied last time they played.
In a driving rain.
Conditions
were awful.
What happens when this one moves? That was in Cleveland. What happens when this moves to Pittsburgh? How are your Browns going to play in this game?
Well, they haven't won a road game since, I think, Obama was in office. So that's good.
Nixon or Obama? What was it?
Yeah, right, exactly. A little fuzzy here. Let me think. So they're going to play them close because when you force 20 turnovers and you're plus 10 in turnover differential, you're going to hang around in games. And Roethlisberger hasn't looked that clean where I don't think he's going to continue to make mistakes. So that'll keep it close. There's no chance they're going to win this game, though. Zero chance.
Zero chance, really?
Zero chance. Baker has nobody. This is where my Browns fandom comes out. This isn't an emotional pick because I think the Browns are going to cover. 8 points in this game. The Steelers have not covered against the Browns in 4 straight games. 3 failed covers and 1 push. So they're going to play them close. And that was when they stunk. So it's one of those things where they're going to play this game close. Baker makes enough plays that I think it'll be all right. I think Chubb will get his 15 to 20 carries, maybe crack the century mark there. But look at this receiving core. Jarvis Landry is going to see 15 targets, maybe catch 9 to 10, but he's just moving the chains. David Njoku, nice little bright spot, a touchdown in back-to-back games, but he's like hovering around 50 yards. Antonio Callaway has been nowhere. Every other receiver's hurt. There's not enough for Baker to work with right now because Higgins got hurt. That Willie's guy who made the big play in the Ravens game got hurt, broke his collarbone. They should have never traded Josh Gordon because right now that's what they need. They need a stretch guy to go with Landry, and they don't have it because Callaway's been AWOL the last month. The only touchdown Callaway has this year is against New Orleans on that Tyrod Taylor Hail Mary to keep it close. There's just not enough weapons for Baker.
Right. Yeah, if only they sled Josh Gordon. But I know why that happens. See, here's a weird thing for me about what your analysis of that game. You're telling me there's no chance they're going to win. And I know there's always a small chance, but basically no chance. You're like, there's no way. Okay, I get that. If you think there's no chance they're going to win, then I would think you would bet the Steelers to cover because the range of outcomes there tell me, if Browns winning is off the table pretty much, then Steelers cover sounds like a decent bet.
I think you have to look at it this way, too. The Browns are notorious. Go back and look at the game logs. Fourth quarter, last 3 minutes of the game, Browns score some useless touchdown or field goal that will get them within 8 points. But then they'll run out of time. The hourglass runs out of sand. It happens all the time. If you look at that Tampa Bay game, their sense of urgency happens in the last 2.5 minutes of the half and the last 2.5 minutes. Look at that.
Hourglass running out of sand right there.
Is that for Pictionary? Is that for
no?
What was it? What were those games? I just remember.
It's a decorative piece in my office.
How big is that? What is that to scale? That looks really small on camera. Is it? Yeah. But
it's about, I don't know. There you go.
Yeah. These are the days of our lives. That's all I. So yes, that is my reasoning. I think it's one of those things where the Steelers are up and controlling. But because of it, oh my God, you have more than one. We've jumped the shark, folks. That is hilarious.
I have 2 hourglasses.
Hey, Heather, if you're out at the store, I don't need 1 hourglass. I need 2. If they're on sale, BOGO it.
Can I explain this?
Sure.
Last year was our 50th wedding anniversary. And supposedly the gift, you know how they're themed gifts for this?
Sure, I know, yes.
It's a timepiece. It was the themed gift for 15. So she gave me this. But you see the way this is? This gets stuck. This one is a faulty timepiece. So when it gets about this far down, the sand sticks, so it doesn't work. So this year, as a goof, was our anniversary last Friday. She was at the store last week, and she came home with this.
A timely timepiece.
A timely timepiece. Yeah, that's right.
Man, is there a metaphor in that other one, though, where it just gets stuck? Yikes. Man, I don't want the hidden messages in that.
If the Cleveland Browns running out of time, but never getting to where they want to go or something.
Exactly. It is a Browns metaphor. You've actually come full circle on this. They get stuck in, there's a T-shirt out there that says they almost always win, and that is exactly what the Browns are. They almost always win, and I think the defense keeps them around in that game, but I think it's going to be a late touchdown, backdoor cover that makes it close at the end.
All right. Next up, we are going to go to everyone's favorite team, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Woo!
Yep. Chiefs Broncos at Arrowhead. Chiefs favored by 10, over under 55.5. How did the Chiefs not score? The Chiefs score 30 against everybody, right? They're going to score 30.
They've already scored 50.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they've scored 50 in this moment. I mean,
Kareem Hunt just scored a touchdown.
And another one. And Sammy Watkins just randomly showed up and said, you know what, I'm going to get involved. Tavon Austin's really interested in joining that to become relevant again.
So last time these guys played, I don't know if it was week 3 or 4. I think it was 4. They played a night game in Denver, and the Broncos, another backdoor cover. They scored pretty late. I think it was within the last 2 minutes to cut the deficit to 4. It was 27-13. They made it. No, it was 27-17. They made it 27-23, something like that. So they covered, but it really wasn't. They got lucky to cover. I think the Chiefs probably smoke them here, but we think that about everybody.
Yeah, and I think, again, let's use this as an example because the spread's almost the exact same. Let's talk about the Rams and 49ers. You had the Rams it was the Rams going to San Francisco. This time the better team's at home. But it was a hefty spread there. And again, 10 points is a lot to lay. But you look at what the Broncos just did when they visited, New York? And they got torched there by New York. And again, it's just you try and stitch these clues together, these context clues to make a case for how the Broncos can cover the 10. And I don't see it because, scary enough, the Bengals' great offense with Mixon and Green and their slew of receivers that have made plays at different times throughout the year, they get stopped by the Chiefs' defense. I mean, maybe that's the story of Sunday night's game, that the Bengals' offense, which was doing great things in September, has slowed the last 2 games.
Yes.
Was slowed by the Chiefs defense. I mean, is it the Bengals offense just an anvil dropped, or was it the Chiefs defense did some good things? Because Mixon was held under 4 yards per carry. I mean, that's something in itself, and they have to abandon the run game to try and catch up. And Green had, 100-plus yards, but no touchdowns. I think maybe we give the Chiefs a little credence here because we know when Case Keenum throws, it's going to be to Emmanuel Sanders and maybe occasionally Demaryius Thomas. So they kind of can key in on Emmanuel Sanders, let everybody else beat him. Phillip Lindsay's had a nice stretch. Let's see if he can continue because Mixon just got slowed. I think that there's a lot of things in the Chiefs' favor going into this game.
All right. Is it overthinking it for me to think that the Bengals offense slowed down when Eifert got hurt?
No, I think there might be some truth to that. I mean, a little bit. I really thought the key was keeping Mixon as involved as possible. But when you fall behind as much as you did against the Chiefs, you're not using Mixon to his full capacity because I think that's really what keeps that train moving right now. But it is interesting. And
I want to check one thing on the Broncos real quick.
Sure.
Because they can run a little bit.
Yeah, Phillip Lindsay's third in the NFL in yards per rush. I think he's clicking around 6 per touch, and he runs over people.
Right.
They're not sure.
They're not sure about Royce Freeman. He hurt his ankle last week. They're not sure if he's going to play. I guess we'll know more on Wednesday when practice starts. I'm probably going to pick the Chiefs in this game. But all right. Next up, Bears-Jets. So I had this wrong in the notes. It's actually at Chicago. I put out the Jets. Okay. My bad. Bears favored by 7, over under 46. Khalil Mack pretty clearly wasn't himself on Sunday, as I continue to find excuses for the Bears not covering against the Patriots. I think I kind of like the Jets as a team that's probably a little better than some people gave them credit for.
Yes.
But I may continue to overestimate the Bears, but if Matt gets healthy, I think after they lost that game to the Patriots, I think Sam Darnold's walking into a tough spot here. Like a hell opponent spot where he throws 4 interceptions and the Bears completely just, suck the will out of the Jets by halftime.
That's an interesting take. I think there might be some truth to that. I'm not – Sam Darnold, I think, is going to be a good quarterback in this league. And they competed against Minnesota. I actually picked the Jets to cover that game. I know it was 3. It was a low spread, and there was a tight window there because I picked the Vikings to win straight up. But I liked what the Jets were doing. I think that there is a lot of reason to be excited about that team moving forward. And there were some injuries here, and not everybody's beat up at midseason. But yeah, I don't like them. See, that 7 stinks though. I don't like that spread. I think it's hard for me to back the Bears to cover. I could see a push here. I really could. I know that's punting on this, but I think Darnold has enough weapons around him that he can keep it close.
They're hurt. A lot of them are hurt though.
Yeah, and that is those are mounting. I mean,
right.
Robbie Anderson got hurt towards the end of that game in the Vikings.
Bilal Powell got hurt.
Yeah.
And we don't know. Again, we're doing this on Tuesday, folks, so we're not sure what the status of all these players are, but they're without Enunwa. They lost Terrell Pryor last week, and they cut Terrell Pryor.
Yeah, so there is a lot of bodies missing. It's a fair point. I'm going to take the under. It's 46. I'll take the under, and I'll completely dodge. But I really do believe the under hits on this.
Yeah. All right. I think I'm going to take the Bears. Not sure about the over-under yet. Redskins, Giants. Over-under. We don't have an over-under yet, at least as of the time before we started recording this. Redskins favored by a point at the Meadowlands. That seems – I mean, the Giants, for as bad as the Giants have been, and I'm sensitive to the fact that I complain about the Giants too much. But they haven't been getting blown out the Eagles blew them out. But they played some close games. And the Redskins are kind of their defense is good. Their offense isn't much. Like the Giants getting a point at home here, I'm kind of like, yeah, here's a game they might actually be able to win.
I'd agree. I think the Redskins play so much better at home that we kind of look at some of those road contests. They're completely AWOL against New Orleans when Breeze set the record. And that one just kind of just really sticks out in my mind. But when they're at home, they beat the Packers, they beat the Cowboys, and they had one other big win off the top of my head. I can't remember. But see, the Lions game last week was Detroit favored by 1 at Miami. I think there was another one last week or over the last 2 weeks that there was a team favored by 1. I think it was the Packers at the Lions. I think the Packers were favored by 1. And it's almost like baiting you to take the Redskins. I'll take the Giants too. Not to piggyback, but I enjoy, there are moments where I watch the Giants and I'm like, this is what they need to be doing. Like they can win 7-8 games if they continue to do this, but Eli's so this roller coaster, you never know what you're going to get when he releases the ball. We know what we're getting out of Saquon. He's not going down at first contact, and that's an exciting thing. And I know the Redskins defense is solid against the rush, but let's see. Saquon's good against any defense. So let's see what happens there. I think the Giants can win that game.
All right. The Redskins, by the way, they've beaten the Cardinals on the road, the Packers at home, the Panthers at home.
Panthers was the other.
And the Cowboys at home. And inexplicably, they lost to the Colts at home.
And that was in a driving rain. The weather was horrible that game.
Yep. All right. Yeah, it's a toss-up game. Okay. Seahawks, Lions at Detroit. Lions favored by 3. Over-unders 49.5. Lions are a different team now that they can run the ball. I think their offense, you notice Stafford, they're winning by a lot, and Stafford didn't have to do everything. Kerryon Johnson runs well, and they have 3 good receivers. That makes their offense pretty diverse, and it makes them kind of an interesting team to me. I think the Seahawks are – I know they've lost a bunch of close games, but they're not good. And going on the road, I'm kind of leaning Detroit here with that small spread.
Yeah, I'm all on Detroit here. Since Kerryon's been the workhorse, and they've just kind of let him go with it. And the one thing you have to be careful with Kerryon, and I'm not taking anything away from him because he's second in the league in yards per carry behind Matt Breida, which is pretty remarkable if you ask me. The one thing, it's opened up the passing lanes for Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's thrown 1 interception in his last 5 games. 1. Right. This is Matthew Stafford. He goes out there, throws for 250, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, last 4 games. Boom, look at the game log. Clean. Just a clean sheet. And that is exactly to the point you just mentioned where he doesn't have to do everything. And when Kerryon just runs and bulls over people, and he's broken. That's the thing with Kerryon. He's broken some long runs so that yards per carry is a little skewed just because some of his like big runs have just maximized that. He's probably still around 5 yards per carry, though. I mean, he's very, very consistent on that. I think the Lions are able to cover this at home. I think the Seahawks, unless they pull another rabbit out of their hat in the fourth quarter with a deep ball to Tyler Lockett, which seems to happen every week, I'm gonna feel pretty confident in the Lions covering this.
Yeah, both of these teams have won 3 out of 4. The Lions just had that late loss to the Cowboys in their last 4 games. The Seahawks, the last 4 weeks, they won against the Cowboys at home. They beat the Cardinals by a field goal on the road. They lost a close game to the Rams at home, and they kind of crushed the terrible Raiders. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a close call for me.
Lions are 5-1 against the spread this year.
Nice. Okay. Next up, Bengals Bucks. Bengals at home favored by 4.5, over under 54. I saw the spread at 6 on Monday. Now I see 4.5.
I saw 6 too.
Yeah. We talked about the Bengals fading a little bit. The Bucks defense, more bad news for their defense. Quan Alexander torn ACL out for the year. That's a tough one for them, and their defense wasn't good anyway. I don't know. I don't have a strong feeling on this game.
No, I mean, do you want to talk about the 6 or the 4.5? Because it changed the discussion a lot for me. If we're talking 4.5, I'd probably have to think about it. If we're talking the 6, if you got in early on this, I'd be all over the Buccaneers. I think, as we alluded to earlier, the Bengals are kind of just that anvil is falling. The defense hasn't been able to really stop anybody the last 2 weeks. If you look, and again, it's not so much. This is going. I think the over is going to hit over 54.
Right.
Because nobody can stop anybody in this game. And Jameis is going to just chuck it around because Peyton Barber will have his 10 carries and he won't do anything of significance. Maybe he'll fall into the end zone on a finished drive. But there's just so many weapons in that passing game. And you look at what I was getting to is you look at what the Bengals have done against good offenses. They have a lot of crap ton of yards. I mean, it's like 400. I think to the Falcons, Steelers, Chiefs, and Ravens, maybe they allowed like 495 total yards per game in those contests, and they rank at the bottom of the NFL rankings in yards allowed per game. That's not what you want going into a game with the Buccaneers, where it's just going to be Loyola Marymount. For that, nobody that gets that reference, they were a high tempo college basketball team back in the day. They're just going to go up and down the field. So I think the over hits, and I like the Buccaneers to cover the 6.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure about this one. I got to figure that one out. I think I agree on the over.
Yeah, that 4.5 smells fishy.
Okay, so next up, Ravens Panthers. This one, I don't quite get. And I'm not being a homer here. But
it's awesome that you can be a homer of the Giants and Panthers. I enjoy that.
I live here and all that. But the Ravens are favored at Carolina? Really?
I don't get that.
I mean, I like the Ravens. I think they're good.
Yes. And you know what? The difference, it's weird. I found watching that Saints game, and I was pretty locked into that one because it was a late game and there's fewer ones to watch. I'm entertained by the Ravens. And I haven't said that in years past. I'm like, ooh, what's going to happen next? Because the defense just is so convincing. Like, they could lead this team deep into the AFC playoffs. And I know the Saints won last week. That's fine. I mean, Drew Brees, that guy, incredible career. And he has 15,000 weapons. I mean, loaded offense, and it took every one of them to win that game. But yeah, I think this is short-sighted by odds makers. Not that I'm right. I mean, the odds makers usually do a pretty good job, right?
Yeah.
But and this isn't faith in the Ravens. It's lack of faith in the Panthers to get it done at home. I think this is lack of faith on the Panthers. Not that the Ravens are world beaters.
Yeah, and the Panthers, they're 3-0 at home.
Right.
Ravens on the road, 2-2. Let me check their schedule real quick. What they've done on the road so far.
Titans.
Stupid Titans.
No, that was the game that I'm thinking of right away.
Yeah. We've got Ravens on the road. They lost by a point they lost at Cincinnati on the Thursday night. They won at Pittsburgh, which is pretty convincing. They lost at Cleveland, and they won at Tennessee. Yeah, I don't get this spread at all.
No, and you know what? If the Ravens won, I wouldn't be shocked because look at what the Panthers did at Washington this past week. Philadelphia. it just takes, it's kind of like the Browns in a lot of ways where it's like, oh, sense of urgency. Here we go. Now everything's clicking. Here we go. Curtis Samuel, you pop up every third week and make a play. It just seems like, why don't they do that for 4 quarters? That's why it's hard for me to watch Panthers games, because it just seems like, okay, you try and build this team around McCaffrey, right? Because Olsen's getting up there in age. You move on from Kelvin Benjamin. Everything's through McCaffrey. And then you listen to highlight reels and you listen to NFL recap shows and things like that, and you don't hear McCaffrey's name as much as you did earlier in the season, right?
Yeah, last 2 weeks he hasn't touched the ball as much. You're right.
Right. So it's just like, are they going away from what their plan was, and they're going to lean more on their defense? I can't make heads or tails of what this Panthers team is. And if it always comes back to Cam Newton, I think you're going to be a coin flip away from making your choice, because Cam Newton being the cog that makes your decision on point spreads in this, it's not going to be fun to deal with, because you don't know what Cam you're going to get on any given week.
You know, I think the simple thing with McCaffrey the last 2 weeks has been they had trouble running the ball, so they stopped trying, and I think they're going to have trouble this week too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, the Ravens are tough that way, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick the Panthers here.
And it seems like a trap. At this moment, it feels like it's trapping people to lean Panthers.
Yeah.
And again, it wouldn't shock you. You feel at this moment okay with Panthers, but I would believe that it wouldn't shock you if the Ravens won.
I agreed. Okay. Because I think it's teams that are fairly evenly matched.
I would agree with that.
And you know, I have such a bias against home team, which is why I got my butt kicked in week 7, because all the road teams won, and the home dogs all just got killed except for one. Colts Raiders. Colts are now favored by 3. They were favored by 1.5. Now they're favored by 3. It's at Oakland. Over-under's 50. The Raiders basically trading everybody.
Yep.
Marshawn Lynch is out.
Yeah.
So the terrible Doug Martin is going to get to carry a lot of the load with some healthy help from Jalen Richard, I would think. Amari Cooper's gone to the Cowboys, so Jordy Nelson is now their best receiver. Maybe, unless you want to count Jared Cook. They traded Khalil Mack in the beginning. I mean, basically the Raiders are in full tank right now. And it's not like the Colts are good, but I mean, we are in full tank here for the Raiders.
I'll take the Colts. Andrew Luck he's making it work, right? And Marlon Mack has looked fine. And
he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a nice matchup against the Raiders, who are team tank. So I feel no problem taking the Colts on the road here, laying points.
I think I agree with you. I think Mack changes their offense a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know they had a bad opponent the other day, and, you know, Derek Anderson was throwing picks, but I think the Colts offense with Mack running well, I think their offense changes a little bit and becomes better. I mean, Luck was getting up yardage, but he was throwing 60 times for a few weeks there. Right. And hopefully they get a little more. I don't like the word balance, because I think passing's good, but, you know, it makes them more diverse, and it makes them more dangerous. And I think against a bad team here, they're probably going to come out ahead. All right. 49ers, Cardinals, we got to pick them at Arizona, right? Making sure it's at Arizona. And it is at Arizona, yes. So, pick 'em game. Cardinals fired their offensive coordinator, Mike McCoy, after the last game. Hopefully the David Johnson output after this is better. Josh Rosen was an injury concern. He got hurt at the very end of that Thursday night game. Hurt his ankle. He's out of his walking boots. Steve Wilkes said that he's probably going to be ready to practice Wednesday. They seem optimistic that Rosen's going to be okay. This game, you know, a few weeks ago, I wanted to believe in the 49ers more, that they were going to be scrappy, and now they had that bad loss, that bad ending against the Packers. Not a bad loss, but a bad ending against the Packers. And then they came home after the short week, and the Rams just annihilated them. Like, I almost want to give the Niners a pass for that one.
There's so many points. I felt good about that one, because that was one of the games I missed. And it's just so many points. And I thought C.J. Beathard and Goodwin had something going. Matt Breida, I don't know his background injury history, but he's turning into Chris Ivory. I mean, every time that guy touches the ball, he gets hurt.
He's a little dude, so.
Yeah, and I get that. And what am I? I didn't play NFL football. I'm not getting crushed by these guys. But it just seems like Matt Breida could be a really great story. But, I mean, yeah, he's a little guy, and it seems like when he touches the ball, everything crumbles, and they need him out there. I mean, he is so good and such a big part of moving those chains. When they lose him, they lose a big part of their offense, and that's going to be something to watch as you pick these games.
All right. Do we have the the records against the spread for these teams? I don't have them in front of me. I'm looking.
I don't have them in front of me. No.
All right.
Oh, I could get it though.
You can?
Yeah, well, buddy. Yeah, buddy.
Glad you can help out like that.
Oh, well, that's what I'm here for. I mean, again, this is a video podcast, but it feels more like a radio show sometimes.
You think so?
Well, we do have to turn away from the camera and look up great pieces of information.
Right.
And then we just do coffee talk. All right, against the spread.
Yeah, got it.
2-5 against the spread. Cardinals 3-3. 3-1 against the spread. So delicious.
And let's see. Yeah, away, home against the spread. Cardinals 2-2. Away against spread. San Francisco 2-2. Yeah, these numbers are not telling us anything so far.
No, exactly. I'll take the Niners. I have no faith in Josh Rosen.
I don't know.
If Patrick Peterson wants out, that's not a great sign.
I know. That's bad news for them. I mean, I guess I understand it.
Oh,
I'm leaning Cardinals early on, but I'm not sure about this one.
I mean, do you have any faith in Josh Rosen?
Yes.
Okay, fair answer.
I saw, as bad as things were last week, I saw glimpses, and maybe it's just because I'm looking for him.
Yeah, and
he was the guy that I was most interested in the draft, besides Baker, anyway.
Sure.
I thought he was going to come out and be a good quarterback, and I thought he was the most ready to succeed, and he's just in a crummy situation.
Right. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, but it worked for the Buccaneers. They fired their defensive coordinator, Mike Smith, and went out and held the Browns to a season low 305 total yards. So maybe by firing their OC, the Cardinals will have their best offensive thing, and that'll help David Johnson. Because if David Johnson has a breakout game, I could see.
New OC, Byron Leftwich, for the Cardinals.
I feel so old that Byron Leftwich has gotten promoted to that. That's where I was like, man, I remember him dragging his body down Marshall's field.
He used to throw like this. He used to wind up like a softball pitcher when he threw the ball.
I think Byron Leftwich was one of my first fantasy quarterbacks when I started playing fantasy football back in the day.
Wow. You're young saying that to me.
I know. It's all relative, though.
I'm trying to think of who one of my first fantasy quarterbacks was.
Jim McMahon.
Like Mark Rippon.
Hard-hitting Mark Rippon.
Yeah. Maybe Jim McMahon. He might have, Jim Harbaugh, maybe.
Oh.
I'm going back here.
Mark Rippon is solid.
Mark Rippon was a good one. When he had the Smurfs, that was good stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. I wasn't playing Smurfs. I was not playing fantasy football with the Smurfs.
His daughter, fun story, his daughter played on the Lingerie Football League in the United States of America, and I believe dated Taiwan Walker. What you come here for, folks? Great information.
Taiwan Walker, the pitcher?
Taiwan Walker dated Mark Rippon's daughter, 95% sure.
Wow. Those are some obscure facts there, but thank you.
That's what I'm here for. It's a radio show. It's a radio show.
All right, Packers-Rams. It's at Rams. Rams are favored by 9, over-unders 57. We're going to get every bit of those points. I think I might go over. I don't like it's I always find like I go over more than under, but this seems like an over.
Yep. Agreed.
Cooper Kupp's still out for the Rams. This one's the Packers got shredded by the Niners last week, right?
2 weeks ago, but yes.
2 weeks ago.
I'm parsing.
I don't know. I'm happy to. I might lay it. I don't know. I got to think. That's a lot of points. The Packers are a decent team.
Yeah,
it's a lot of points, but I've been saying that about the Rams. Every time I say it about the Rams, they make me look dumb.
Right. Packers coming out of the bye.
Yeah.
Man, I need to think on that one. That's so many points. But again, let's go back. What can I pull out of my hat here? Let's go back to that Lions game. Yes, Mason Crosby missed 15 field goals and kicks in that game, but the Packers defense got destroyed by Matthew Stafford. I mean, their defense is going to get picked apart by Coop or by Goff. Gurley is unstoppable right now, so they're gonna light it up. It's just a matter of Rodgers keeping pace with Devontae Adams and his made-up characters that are his other receivers now, and that's a little nerve-wracking. I just don't know if they can keep pace.
I think I'm going to give points, but I'm not sure yet. But I'm pretty. I like over quite a bit.
Yeah.
All right, Saints Vikings. The Saints revenge game at Minnesota on Sunday night. Over under is 53. Vikings are favored by a point. These are two good teams. I mean, the Saints. After the Browns game, I felt like people weren't into the Saints at all. Like, oh no, they're not good. What? They're 5-1, right?
Yeah, sounds like Eeyore.
These guys are good.
Yeah.
Their defense is getting better, right?
Yep.
The other side of this game, I am still a Vikings believer. And I keep saying they're going to be one of the elite teams at the end, and I think they are. Right now, the Vikings, let's see, at home, 1-1-1 against the spread. The Saints are 3-0 against the spread on the road. But the Vikings 4-2-1 overall. Saints 5-1. Dalvin Cook status, I don't know. Again, I'm not going to. It's ask me Sunday at 7:00 if Dalvin Cook's playing, because that's when I'll know. Linval Joseph, I don't know what his status is. That's a big deal for the Vikings if he's playing. I think I'm going Vikings here. I think they're starting to roll a little bit, and I think at the end of the year they're going to be, behind the Rams with maybe the best record in the conference.
Yeah, tough back-to-back stretch for the Saints too. Think about all the energy put out to try and beat the Ravens in Baltimore. I mean, that's a grueling game, and then to have to go back on the road to play Minnesota. That's not a fun 2-week stretch for the Saints. They probably exhausted a lot of their cachet, if you will, at Baltimore last week. I'll take the Vikings. One thing you got to give credit to the Vikings, Latavius Murray signing looks brilliant because I think they got him on a bargain too coming out of Oakland last year. That dude is running over everybody right now, and he runs hard, and he's staying upright, and he's staying healthy, which is something I was concerned about Dalvin Cook coming out of college. I didn't think because he popped the ACL last year, and then you looked at how aggressive he was. And again, it's great to be aggressive. It's worked for Phillip Lindsay. It works for Todd Gurley. But in that breath, you also have to stay healthy, and Dalvin Cook hasn't been able to do that.
All right. Last one. This is an interesting one. This is actually the most interesting one to me on the whole board. Mm-hmm. Monday night, it is – hold on one second. Just making sure I got it right. So it's Patriots at Bills. Mm-hmm. So we get a game in Buffalo. So the Patriots are a very good team. The Bills are a very bad team. Obvious, right? Over-under is 44.5, by the way. The Patriots are favored by 14 on the road. Can you, as bad as the Bills are, I mean, they beat the Vikings. They beat what? The Titans at home was the other win, right? Mm-hmm. Can you give a team, how confident are you giving any NFL team 14 points on their home field?
I'll take the Patriots.
Okay.
I don't see how they keep pace. I know the Buffalo Bills defense is completely lost in how bad their season is. Bills defense is good, and they force turnovers. And this is the same Bills team that went into Minnesota and pulled off an upset, one of the greatest upsets in NFL history, because I think they were dogs of 17.5 at Minnesota. So now they're home and dogs of 14, and they pulled it off. And I'm not going to say that there's much difference between Josh Allen, Derek Anderson, whatever, Nathan Peterman. I wish. That would help. I don't see them keeping pace. I just don't. I mean, right. Unless it's one of those things the Patriots sometimes it's not that they get bored. They're like, oh, we're up 21-0. And then all of a sudden the Bills score 10 straight. They're up 21-10. They don't give a rip. They're up 11 and it's the fourth quarter. That's how these type of games go. So I think you do have to be careful in that breath. But at the same time, if Tom Brady wants to send a message again, which he has done time and time again, him and Josh Gordon are starting to click a little bit more. I think Sony Michel's injury kind of does have to have a little bit more attention put to it because that looked gnarly. And then they say it's not that serious. Well, having Sony Michel in this matchup will help them get to 15 points to cover this.
Yep.
Tuesday, I'm all on the Patriots. Thursday, I might change my mind. I'm kind of interested to see if the spread moves. But at this moment, I'll take Bill Belichick and Tom Brady to smoke them.
I feel like part of me that is hesitant to give the 14 is just looking at things on paper and saying NFL teams shouldn't get 14. And then when I actually look at it, I go, oh, Derek Anderson's playing again against the Patriots. And LaShawn McCoy is in the concussion protocol,
right?
By the way.
Did you see that? That was nasty because not only did he hit his head on the turf, his ankle rolled. So
right.
And LaShawn McCoy is not that poor guy. He's kind of, which is funny because Chris Ivory and him were back to back, but he can't stay healthy. He's such a huge part of the Bills and what they do. When he's touching the ball that many times, he's bound to get hurt. But it just seems like he's running back to the trainer's table time and time again as seasons go on. And after that, I guess you could ask it this way. How are the Bills going to score points? Off their defense? Maybe.
I don't know. Right. I don't know.
It's going to have to come off of turnovers.
Yeah, the Patriots might play conservatively because they don't need their biggest risk is giving up points to the
Right. So
defense.
a lot of James White and maybe Kenyon Barner.
Yeah,
Who looked good in the last game.
I know, but
there's moments. I mean, again, it's just the running back committee that they put together there after what they started with, and then injuries just bit.
Right.
And interesting to see where they're at now.
And Gronk should be back for the Pats. That was what the early week chatter was on him, but we'll see. That's Monday. All right. Anything we missed? Anything else you want to cover?
No, again, I always wrap these up with my thoughts on the Browns, and I think this team is headed in the right direction. I know I'm very big proponent of the Steelers winning at home, and I think I'm going to stick with that throughout the week. But that defense, if there's any way that the Browns win outright, that defense is nasty, man. You force 4 turnovers, and you're up to 20 on the season, and it's not even midway through the season. That's quite impressive feat by the Browns. So I think they're headed in the right direction. They just need more options for Baker to throw to.
All right. That's it for us. Again, I'll be back with Josh on Thursday to go game by game in a little more detail and make our picks. Also, follow NFLPickwatch.com all week long. Make your picks there. Follow the expert picks there. Follow everybody else's picks there before you make your picks for your pool this week. Again, he's at Freelance Fowler on Twitter. I'm at Halpin37. You can also tweet the main account at Pickwatch. You can find, if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, if you're only following on one, follow us on the other, so you can catch this everywhere. We're going to try to get back to streaming on Facebook Live by Thursday. Hopefully, the people, the software behind this will help us figure this out. It's not a Pickwatch thing; it's somewhere else, but we'll figure it out, everybody. All right, that's it for today's edition of Pickwatch Live. See you back here with Josh on Thursday. For Ryan Fowler, I'm John Halpin. Thanks for watching.